haven't uploaded for a while. I got a little busy in the winter season. All this footage is from right around 6 months ago. I just didn't have the motivation or time to edit it into a video. Thanks for sticking around. I do a lot in the winter. I'm a ski instructor, a snowboard instructor, and a adaptive instructor. I wanted to do some content in the winter, but it's just so busy with me working full time. So enjoy this video. It's all the fabrication leading up to the water test, and then I'm gonna do a separate upload just on all the water tests, because that's more of an action-based thing than a fabrication-based thing. Please enjoy. Thanks for sticking around. This has been months of planning, maybe even a year of planning. Essentially, I had the idea of the V10, and I also had the idea of using one of these, a Guibo or a flex coupling. Problem is, the space I need usually would be occupied by a typical jet boat. Why is it so foggy? Typically, you'd have one of these double U-joint setups, and you would set your engine at level relative to the stringers, and then your jet pump would be at 4 degrees. The setup I'm using with the T45 front Bellhousing uses a lot more room than that already. The range of movement is pretty small between the engine and the pump, especially if you're mounted to the stringers. So I thought of a more modern solution. I had doubters. It's still not done yet, so they could be entirely correct. But I spent the last week searching online, finding input shafts, output shafts, anything that would go basically from a Guibo to a 3-bolt flange. So I just wanted to buy the 3-bolt flange. That proved to be particularly difficult. First, I just looked online. You can get, Mercedes-Benz ones were listed in Europe for like 50 bucks a piece. I was like, great. Turns out they're like 200 bucks a piece if you go through a Canadian dealer. Next thing I looked as at work we have access to the GM catalog. I don't work at a GM dealership. If I did, I'd probably be dead due to self-inflicted harm, because I have to work on GM vehicles all day. But thankfully that's not the case. But I have access to the GM catalog, and it turns out a fair amount of GM vehicles use Guibos or flex couplings. So I thought, great, I'll be able to find output shafts and order one online. And anyway, so I was like, okay, we'll try Camaro. So 2010 to 2016 Camaro. Looked it up. Great output shaft, or transmission output shaft on the 6-speed Tremec, I guess it is. It was like 70 bucks. I was like, hell yeah, I'll order 2 of them. Turns out they're discontinued, no longer available. Back ordered indefinitely. Okay, automatic one. It's a little more expensive. Back ordered indefinitely. Okay, let's try a brand new Camaro. 2024. And it's back ordered indefinitely for that transmission out. Then I was like, okay, the diff. Let's try the diff. The diff input was like 150 bucks. So do a bit more research. I was actually searching up the Guibos for the Camaros. Why is it so foggy on this damn screen? I was searching up Guibos on Amazon because guess what? Discontinued, no longer available from the dealer. And then this popped up. This is the cheapest drive shaft I have ever seen. The cheapest drive shaft I've ever seen on Amazon. It was around 260 Canadian bucks, which is insane. Most drive shafts are like 600 bucks. So for that price, I get 2 output flanges. One there, one there. And the plan is lob them off at the welds. We're gonna get fabricator Dan in Elmer. I'll link to his channel if I film there. We're gonna lob it off before the welds, clean this up. This part will weld, well, one of these will weld to the input shaft of the transmission. The other side we will weld to the 10 spline inch and 3/8 jet boat drive. And then this one, I believe, is 120. And this is off E320, like an 03. So turns out, if you have 2010 Camaro and you want to be dirt cheap, you can buy one of these for like 30 bucks. Comes with the bolts. And fits right on. Look at that. So now, I have a flex coupling, I have a drive shaft. The last thing to do is cut them apart. Oh, this is excellent. Woo, woo, woo. I am happy. Look at this chunk of metal. This is actually meatier than a output shaft would be, or a diff input, which is phenomenal. That's exactly what we want. Today is an exciting day. As you can tell, I'm a little congested. A few things. I ordered a bunch of AN hoses, so that is excellent. A shit ton of fuel line. Still waiting on one 180 fitting, but also have all the water system to figure out. But what's more exciting, this is the shaft for the flex coupling. Oh, that sneeze took me out. We'll talk about this later, but this is welded to here. Initially I wanted it a little closer, but it actually doesn't matter because we have enough room to run it at that length. There's actually a bearing on here as well, which the radius had to get turned down, and then also a sleeve added, so this will be a press fit into the bell housing. That's what I'll install today. I do not have the pilot bushing for this yet, or pilot, it's a bearing on this particular application, sometimes it's bushing. I did get the flange side in. I'll pop this off for a second so you can see what, this is the guibo. And yeah, that's, I put the bolts in first so because they wouldn't install here, but this is it is slide on, but it was a little tough going on, so that's all we got for now. Holy shit, I sound horrible. But yeah, so this just slides on here. And now that I have this shaft, shout out to Dan's Custom Creations. He helped me. I do not have a lathe, or else I would have done this project myself. But thanks to him, he had a lathe. So I have this roughly where I want it. As you can see at the front, we still have a bit of room to go forward if we needed to. Let's get this thing in there. Oh, that's pretty good. Like that. It still doesn't look quite right. Maybe it does, I actually can't tell. Oh. I should tilt it up a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing, but there's the top of the shaft. Well, I'm back. Been kind of sick. I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but I'm just kind of getting over it now. That was a severe delay. Like, I mean, it's the old men sick. What's the thing? I've seen a lot of new videos of like when a guy gets sick versus when a guy gets injured, and it's true. It's true. But one of the best comments I saw on one of those was like hardware malfunction versus software malfunction. I don't know if you get it. Anyways, I was sick, and I'm still kind of sick. I felt like shit this morning, so a few updates. Got all my AN hose in. I just have to make the hoses. I made one hose other than the -10 stuff. The PTFE hose right there. I made that off camera. the drive shaft adapter came in, and that seems to fit really great. It does have a very, very slight wobble, but I'm not sure if that's from me hammering the flange on the other end. It looks to be very minimal, and I can I can shim the engine up and down to fix that. I got a few parts in that were critical. I don't know if I showed this. Clutch fork. Clutch fork came in. This is a Amazon one, I think, was slightly cheaper than Rock Auto. Then we got clutch release bearing and clutch pilot bearing. And the reason I have that, these are brackets for the cable that I'm not using, is because I got a used flywheel and clutch, and it is in immaculate condition. It basically looks new. So it has a little bit of surface stuff on it from its sitting, but that's no big deal. The reason I bought used is because that aluminum flywheel I had will not work. Anyways, it wasn't easy to find a replacement steel piece for the OEM Ford. I think it's a Mach 1, had the aluminum flywheel. So I got this with the bolts and the pressure plate and the disc. It all looks really good. Normally I wouldn't suggest going with a used clutch, but if you need hardware and the price is right, and this is not a car, it is not extremely complicated to pull the transmission and clutch apart. It's not like a several hour job. So that's what we're doing with this. Okay, I got the bell housing off. Got to throw the flywheel on. There's the transmission, and got to zip these bolts off. I have new length bolts, and then I got to press the pilot bushing in, and then should be good to go. It is a colossal mess here, but I just realized, because I bought a used clutch, that I don't have the input shaft tool, so that will make things slightly more interesting. So yeah, we're way off. I'm just eyeballing it. But if I grab my clutch alignment tool, that is a 7/16 Mastercraft socket and a 3/8 to ½ inch, and that actually fits wonderfully in there. No, it doesn't. That's pretty darn tootin' good. I don't know why I'm suddenly speaking like a southerner, but looking pretty good. Yes, it is. We figured it out! Oh, you guys didn't even see that whole dilemma. So I was having a moment trying to hook the clutch and everything in at the same time. I got it figured out. I was just like trying to pop this in, and that at the same time wasn't happening. So anyways, okay, we'll lube up the guide pins a little bit, or the dowel pins, whatever you want to call them, and then we'll try and throw this on. Let's hope I don't have to do this twice, but we'll see how everything aligns. Hopefully well. Huh. Look at that. We don't need no clutch alignment tool. It is the next day. Next evening rather. And so we got the clutch in. I'm not a fan of how much preload I have to put on this cable to make this work, but made a shitty kind of bracket thing here. I'm gonna try and do this while holding the camera between my legs, but we're locked in gear. I also don't, I guess that little bit of slack is the little springs in the on the flex disc. Anyways, so that's locked in place. Take this handbrake and handbrake up. You can see that. And now there's a little bit of drag. I'll have to dial this in because I don't want to roast the clutch. But yeah, the proof of concept kind of worked. Then to release, it's a little it's not the best of systems, but you know, it works. So hooray. And if that fails, I'll still have drive. It's the spring is gonna want to apply the clutch. So yeah, I just want to be able to disengage it, which isn't the end of the world, honestly. So, but yeah, that little bit of backlash in there is if you look at the center of a clutch disc, they have those, it's 3 or 4, sometimes 5, just of those tubular type springs kind of aligned side, and that's to help, I don't know if it's to release stress on the engine side or the transmission side or improve driving characteristics, but yeah, those little springs are supposed to dampen stuff. So that's the little, it's a little springy, but I want to 100% make sure that's still engaging. So I don't want to have the clutch constantly slipping. That is not ideal. So yeah, I might need to modify this to have a longer throw, but for now I'm able to put the boat in neutral, so we're good on that. So if you go online to if you look up Dayco, so D-A-Y-C-O, I use a lot of products at the shop I work at. They're better than OEM in some cases, honestly. That particular tensioner has an NTN bearing, which is very good. This is at 89053. This is the smallest, without getting crazy aftermarket one, that's the smallest 8 rib, like smallest diameter 8 rib Ford style pulley. So there's a 17, the bosses on the Ford idlers and stuff are 17 mil. This one's the unused one. Like that would be used on a 5.4, but not on the 6.8 or the 4.6, whatever you want, whatever way it works. So this way, I already measured the belt, so I took my old belt. There's the old belt right here. Actually, I'll do a demo of what I did. It'll help explain it better. But so the old belt is pretty shit, as you guys saw. It's like very cracked. Not cracked as in very good at something, cracked as in very cracked. So I cut the old belt off because I didn't care. Routing's gonna look like this. So I don't know if you can see on the video, but there's 2 lines. It's very far away, but I routed it. And the other important thing to remember is you want to measure your belt length with the tensioner compressed. So I'm not going to do this for you, I already did it, but so with tensioner compressed, and then pull the slack away and then get your measurement. And with the Dayco belts, there's a catalog for that also. They do interchange with Continental belts, so I think down to only like, I think the smallest you can get is like a 30 something. The length on this ended up being between, it was like 48 and slightly less than a half or slightly more than a half, I don't remember, but 48 and a half was what was the closest measurement, so I'm a 48.5. The oddly belts are measured in like standard sizing, so inch. So the belt from Dayco is a 5080485, and the 485 portion of that means it's a 48.5 inches. Camera stopped filming. Damn it. I'll zoom in more. But essentially, I'm building up a nub on the top one. I don't know if I got me drumming into that, but I'm gonna do a little bit more on the nub, and then I'm gonna get the nut in there. Let's see if that works. Oh. So it's pretty good. Knock some of that guys off. So I'm gonna grab my 7/16 nut with my vice grips. And we're gonna try to get in there. I'm gonna angle the nut a little bit. I actually might build up the little nub there a little bit more. So when you angle it like that, you can hold your hand a little bit away. So let me add a little bit more to that nub, and then we'll keep going. Okay. I'll try and do this in a way you can see what I'm doing, but it might not work out that way, so. Okay. That is not. I think I need to ramp up my amperage a little bit. But come on, bitch. Surely not already. Oh, you beauty. They're usually not this easy, I'll tell you that much. Usually you want to let them cool a little bit. But this is the absolute... I think, judging by how one or two of these already came out pretty easily, this head isn't the worst. But that's a beauty right there. And I'm thankful that I only have to do 3 of these. It's difficult when you're pricing this out for a customer, because you're like, we might have 0 break and it'll be a straight remove and replace, or you know, maybe every single one is gonna break, especially the ones, like think about, you're doing this in a truck. You got like an engine mount here, you can barely get to these ones. Back here you're almost at the firewall. You got the whole knuckle and frame in front of you. Like, this is not an easy job. This is a breeze, just sitting on the floor doing this. So I am beyond thrilled that this worked the first time around. Hopefully I can get you on the second one. But the reason why this works so well is you're actually adding, I know you're not supposed to heat up the bolt, you're supposed to heat up the thing, but you're just adding enough heat to get stuff moving, and that's how you do it. Right there, look at that. Normally I'd want a little bit more meat on the bolt there, but so far it's going good. The only thing I might do differently on the next one, like this MIG pack only has 4 levels for amperage, it's not a infinitely adjustable one. So the starting one I did C or level 3, but for when I get to welding the nut on, I might bump the amperage up because it's a pretty thick nut. That is an extremely sus thing to say, but let's see what we got now. I think I'm just gonna snap it again. That feels promising. I'm actually gonna let it cool down a touch. Look at these steaming. And don't use your best pair of vice grips for this unless you want them to be a little battle scarred, but I like to use my tools so they do get a little battle scarred occasionally. That is a little toasty on the little hands there. I wouldn't recommend spraying any sort of penetrant just because there's so much heat. So just back and forth, back and forth. Remember, we kind of crusted up those threads at the start, so once we get through that, it should be nice and easy. And I think that's it, folks. It's not pretty, but it do work. And you can obviously, there's not going to be this much room in the engine bay, so usually I get a ratchet on these, and it's, again, you're not going to be 100% centered on the bolt, so you got to take it easy the first few turns. But ooh, these are spicy vice grips, holy shit. Mamma mia. Actually, I don't know what time it is, but I really ought to be designing the headers for this, but I had to get this done because this is one of few remaining shit jobs that I just keep putting off, so might as well get it done. Welcome to the chaos. It's probably been like a week and a half, 2 weeks of pain trying to get these damn manifold bolts out. The first ones I did, they went out easy. They came out real easy. Like these guys right here, first or second try. Focus on my arm. First or second try came out. The last two on the cylinder head took so many tries, I can't even explain. Like, I went through a bag of 20 nuts. The only thing that worked after all of that was using the TIG welder. That was it. That was the only thing I could get to work. I just could not get enough penetration onto the end where it wouldn't snap off right at the stud. So now, last night I started to run the tap through these just to clear out anything else. Okay, so I got the engine back up in the air. Oil hoses, they're not filter, well, I guess they're oil filter housing. Oil relocate hoses, or whatever you want to call them. I cleaned up the ports, and this is the adapter that I got made by Send Cut Send. It's pretty much an exact fit, so that's good. I thought they were a little tight, actually, but it works fine. I have an elbow on the oil pressure switch because it interfered with how the relocate plate, the fitting was an 1/8 inch NPT, and the OEM thread size for the for the oil pressure switch is a 1/4 inch NPT. So I had to put an adapter, but the adapter would interfere with the 90-degree hoses. So, and the wire is just long enough, and I can extend it. It's just a 1-wire thing. I got a package from Send Cut Send. I actually used the discount code for super fast mat. I'll put that on the screen if it's still valid. I'm not sure. Super reasonable. I think all of this, I got 12 flanges, even though I'm only going to use 10 just in case I make a mistake. Adding an extra 2 wasn't that much more money. This is mild steel. I'm going to pop them out of the packaging, make sure they fit, because that would suck if they didn't fit. The inner diameter is going to be 1.5 inches, but I'm stepping up to 1.75 inches. Most like stock V10 and 5.4 stuff is 1.5 inches. I know people go to 1.75 inches, but if you look at the actual size of the port on the 2 valve heads, it's actually slightly less than 1.5 inches. So doing anything more than that is a little silly, I think. I didn't do a shit ton of research either, so I could be completely wrong. But I'm gonna grab one of those and then double check it actually fits, and we'll go from there. Okay, actually didn't take too long, but kind of getting the hang of the TIG thing. These are pretty shit, but you know, getting there. For some reason my first one was pretty damn good. The rest of them are kind of heh, but now all I gotta do is weld the flanges on the end, and then I just gotta make sure they're clocked the correct way when I weld them all, and make some sort of jig to do that. So I'm just gonna take a quick break. The fumes are getting to me and I got a little headache, so. Okay, so I've got everything kind of squared up the best I could, and I'm gonna MIG weld just to tack them in place, because I can't really get the TIG in there comfortably. So I'm gonna try and tack them, and hopefully they don't move very much. Need the headlamp for this. Attempt number 1. Also using the foot pedal for the first time. We'll see how this goes. How does one headlamp helmet? Can't see what I'm doing. So I have a little, this metal might be too thin. I'm attempting to use, but we will see. I set the amps down a lot since last time using it. I don't know if it's proper to use like your I was fiddling around with the welder so much, but I finally kind of dialed in the settings and got some welds that I'm not completely embarrassed by. So I gotta let this cool down. I'm gonna chop the end off because we gotta go smaller than that, but I'm gonna try, while that cools down, I guess I'm gonna try and weld one of the bungs onto one of the donor pieces, and we will see how that goes. I don't want to film because I don't want to jinx it, but that's my progress. I had failed a lot before I got to that point. Another little update. That was an abomination. This one, still hot. It's been sitting there for like 5 minutes. It's not horrible. Getting there. Like I'm not perfect, but look at that. Don't look at the bottom. I used a burn through piece just to practice, so I'm gonna nip that off once it cools down. Alright, I'm gonna call it a night, but we had moderate success. Turns out if you keep trying at something, you somewhat get it done. So I'm just gonna blow it off with some air, let it cool down, and then I'll wire wheel it, I guess, and make it look pretty. It's a little late on a Sunday. I've been working kind of on and off all day. We got a bunch of stuff done. The main thing I was trying to get done was the fuel system, and I have that done. Look at that work of art. It's a bit spaghetti, but it's pretty good if you just look under. So we got the fuel pumps mounted where I said I was going to mount them. And then on the back side, I don't know if you can see that. So we go from, camera's at 90 degrees here, but there's the fuel filter, lines go up. I got the tripod on here so it's a little hard to see. And then one line goes into the feed and the other one is the return. The reason why there's little blue bits sticking out of these clamps is because with the PTFE hose, the cheap clamps are a little bit loose. So I had to cut up some little grommets to make them fit snugly so everything kind of holds in together. I have everything just together loosely, but I designed it in a way. I'm going to set the camera up here. Dad's just going out to grab a countersink, he'll probably interrupt. So I designed it in a way that it can be, I'm going to undo 3 fittings to disconnect the engine. So first fitting over here, these are just finger tight because I'm going to have the engine out again. Second fitting is this other 90. See, these are both the feeds to the fuel system. This has a pretty extreme bend on it. I probably could have done like a 45 there, but oh no, that still need a 90 though. I might change this up because if I do a 45, whatever. Anyway, so that's that, and then this one down here, undo that. It annoys me that the 180 fitting is a different brand and doesn't match everything else, but that's what I had to work with because the only way you can buy like an Evil Energy style one is you buy a hose kit. I don't know why they don't sell them separately, but so with that bolt out, whole fuel system kind of detaches back here. I think you can actually hook the one hose and the fuel lines out of the way. And there's just, all I had to do is drill and tap one hole and then make that aluminum bracket there. So happy with that. It turned out super clean. It's about as symmetrical as I can make it, having the fuel filter off to the side. And a centrally mounted fuel filter wouldn't make any sense with where the rail lines go in. So everything else we got done is kind of small stuff that you can't really see. Other than running the lines to the return, which is about there, back around this way. Have the vent line, you can see it sticking out there. I've got to tie that up. The other side's already tied up. So vent line, tanks are mounted permanently again. Actually, kind of a short list of things to do. It is Tuesday. There is oil in the filter. I pre-lubed it. Oil in the engine. Not quite ready to start yet. I was a little ambitious on that. Wiring harness is still kind of a mess. I found the tubing for the idle air control valve, the PCV. That's all good. I have completed the water system. So we have, this is the water outlet, so this will be hot water going overboard. It goes under there, up and out back. Our feed comes off that manifold, I'll show you more of a second, comes up into that little housing I've done a bunch with. There's the 2 oil lines, and then the top one is the water in. We got the 2 oil lines coming up here. That's a mock-up for the exhaust. My dad's making a heat shield for that, so that's coming together. We have the water outlets here, so I'll break this down for you. That is water dump with the bilge pump. That's just the place diverter control. Where's that steering? Steering, reverse, place diverter. Yeah, that's the place diverter. That is, so this guy is a garden hose hookup. So instead of reaching down in your boat trying to hook up a hose, I have a garden hose hookup right here. This is the dump overboard. These are threaded fittings because I have AN fittings on the other end. And this is our water pressure relief valve. Externally mounted and much cheaper than the ones you can buy for actual jet boats. So I'll try and run you through the manifold setup I have here. So coming out of the jet drive, I don't know if you can see that, we have a one-way check valve. So water can flow out of the jet drive and water cannot flow back into the jet drive. On this first T-piece, we have another check valve, and that is coming from the garden hose hookup. So if the garden hose hookup is pushing water, it's going to close the jet drive and go to the engine. If the jet drive is producing water pressure, it's going to close the garden hose hookup, go into the engine. To me, that makes the most sense. So these are, what the hell is it? It's 1/2 inch or 3/8 at the jet pump. Goes to 3/4 fittings, the 3/4 NPT. The garden hose hookup is a -12 or -16, -12. The pressure relief valve is -8, and these are the -12 lines. So this one's your dump overboard, this one's the cool feed. So I have both of them tied together going towards the engine. I might have to figure out, they don't touch the clutch fork. I might make a few more brackets to hold them in. The jet drive cables are all over the place. I have yet to run those. So that's the water system. I'm hoping that check valve system works. It seems a lot simpler than fiddling around with gate valves all the time. So, and all of that is stainless, all AN fittings, except the bilge pump is just a regular hose because I haven't got to that yet. Fuel system's good, everything's clearing. Yeah, we're getting close. It's like 11:30 on a work night, so I gotta bring my power probe in tomorrow and we're gonna try and get this bitch started. Okay, this is exciting. I'm picking up where I left off yesterday. Water system done. Waiting on a few things. I got the DLC connector wired in properly. For some reason I cut that off. I'm not sure why. It's kind of important. So I bought one off Amazon. It's wired in according to the diagrams and a pinout. There's the diagram if you need it. I'm going through, I think for some reason I disconnected the starter trigger wire. I have the battery just on simmer here. But yeah, this is the trigger wire for the starter. This beige and red guy. Then we got the 2 sides of the solenoid. Where's the starter wire? Starter wire goes right to the battery, according to the diagram. But there's nothing on this guy down here, which leads me to believe that I disconnected that. I don't really remember disconnecting the starter one. So, but before I disconnect that, I am going to, well, step 1, I'm going to locate my fire extinguisher. And step 2, I'm going to remember I'm gonna see if I can remember. Well, not remember. I'm gonna look at the wiring diagram and see if I can. I just have the battery sitting on the step here. I'm gonna find my fire extinguisher. Then we're gonna do the old smoke test. Fire extinguisher is located right here. Fire extinguisher is in the boat. I'm gonna hook up power. I'm not gonna trick it into thinking it has ignition quite yet. So I'm gonna hook up the ground cable. So I can't see what I'm doing. Or you can't see what I'm doing. Almost. Sorry, trying to think and do complicated electrical stuff is not trying to think. I'm trying to speak. Okay, here we go. So this is the first time ground has been connected in a very long time to this truck. Come on, don't cross thread. Let's not shock ourselves on the other terminal. I'm not hearing anything click on, which is pretty normal. That's solid. Okay. So, and my battery is a little low. It's around 11 volts, which is still okay to do a trickle charge with the Optimas, I believe. Around 12.4 volts, that should be enough to power on some systems here. Not gonna try and trigger the starter yet. Where's that wire go anyways? I'll probably just give it 12 volts here. Let me create a temporary starter trigger wire for a sec. So far no smoke, which is good. I'll grab my power probe in a second and double check what's going on. I'm just taking this red cable and making a starter wire, trigger wire. I'm just gonna crimp this on for now, but I will solder and whatchamacallit. Where the hell is that wiring kit? Huh? Where'd he put it? Oh, there we go. So, ring terminal for here. Oh, you can just barely see that. Okay, that size will work. Okay, I got that figured out. Okay, next, we're gonna have to try and fool the ignition into thinking we're turning the ignition on. So we're gonna have to give me a moment here and look at the wiring diagrams for a sec. There is no security system on like 01 or whatever the first generation of Super Duty to, God, probably like 05, 06, I think I saw on a forum. There's no security, which is fantastic because I can just, hey, you've got ignition now. So let me just, I don't know if it's this diagram. Here we go. Ignition switch. Where are we at here? Run. Red, black. Fuse 29. I got a P again, so I'll be back. Ignition switch. What do you look like? What is that guy? Images. Oh, okay. That's easy enough. And it's what I thought it was. Just the wires don't match up. Oh! Okay, we got the bitch. This is the ignition switch. It's not really initially what I was looking for. So you got off. All right, so start, run, accessory off, lock, I guess. So we're gonna go off. Oh, okay. Where's that connector? Wait, where's that connector? Hold on. What plugs into this bitch? Oh, right here. An 8mm, 7mm, whatever we got. Oh, I am proper chuffed, as the British say. Look at that! I don't know if this thing's busted or what, but... Or once again, I might have wired the DLC in incorrectly, but... We have stuff and things. I wonder if... I wonder if our... I'm gonna do something here. So the engine obviously is not gonna start, and there's not... Well, there might be some residual fuel, but I doubt it. I'm just curious. Woo! Oh shit! Oh damn it! Did I move something? Oh, it was working for a second. Shit! That showed up. The thing was working. Okay. I'm just curious. This could be really dumb, but is our RPM signal working? Oh god. Ooh, baby. Okay, RPM signal's not working currently, but sugar. It is Friday at about 8 o'clock in the evening. I'm just hooking up the scanner. I want to see if I can communicate with a proper diagnostic tool, so I've borrowed this one from work. I'm curious if it'll automatically detect the truck. Oh. ...2001 Ford F-Series. Okay. So it looks like... I'm concerned about being able to... Technically it was an AC truck. It's not like that's gonna matter, but... I'm just curious. I want to know how many codes are in this thing, man. Fuel pump secondary circuit high. Really? That's all we got. Circuit high is a bit weird though. Okay, I was expecting a lot more codes, to be honest. I really want to see what PIDs I can view. .66 seems about right. It's an open loop, which it should not be an open loop, but intake air temperature seems about right. So there we go, open. It should not be an open loop, but I've only started it for a little bit. Should not be getting voltage from the oxygen sensors, but sure. throttle position. That didn't change. Oh, TP, there we go. So, throttle position. That's wide open throttle. So wide open throttle is 5 volts, roughly. Half throttle, about 2.5. Closed throttle, 1 volt. Okay. Battery voltage is 12. I was just getting into the wiring harness here, and I have to show you something that I found. This truck ran and drove about 40 minutes home. This is on the alternator lead. There's a hose clamp in here. What's going on? What in the world? What are we doing here, guys? Why is there a hose clamp in here? Hello? Oh, that's, look at that, there's stuff. I gotta use 2 hands here for a second. This is the only slightly scuffed part of wiring I saw, but goodness gracious. Please don't fix your wiring like this unless it's an absolute emergency. I mean, at least they tried to use heat shrink. Is that solder, or is that just melted from poor contact? So yeah, I think we're gonna be replacing the end of this cable for obvious reasons. I might actually shorten it just a touch. I don't know if I'm putting the module there. I might as well. It's kind of a good spot. Not too hot. What in the... Anyways, I'm gonna keep going on this, but I thought I'd show you this excellent little repair. I mean, it kind of held up. It's not the worst I've seen, to be honest, but it's pretty friggin' bad. And also, there's a supplemental orange green wire. Where's that supposed to go? I don't know. It's just a power feed for something. So I guess we'll make a new connector for that. Okay, we're really getting into it here. The wires that I snipped off at the ends of these connectors, I'm depinning, which might be a bad idea if I screw something up, but keeps it nice and neat and tidy. Eliminates the possibility of a short messing something up. So I don't know if I need that cap on the back. Well, I guess I do. Anyways, I'm gonna keep going. You just remove this little cover and then you can depin the connectors. So I'll give you an update in a second, but we're just kind of trimming the fat on the harness. All the stuff that was already unplugged when I started it, I'm just ripping out of the harness. So like ABS module, shit like that, I'm never gonna need. So anyways, I'll update you. Well, it's been like 2 hours. I got the harness thinned down. I still gotta depin the unused wires from the connectors on the interior fuse box. What is that called? Passenger compartment. Passenger. It's the little module in there. So I gotta depin those and then double check everything still works, and then I'll wrap them up nicely. So yeah, it's a lot of work. Hopefully I didn't cut anything I needed. If that's foreshadowing, I might actually want to take my own life. That's a joke. I don't actually want to, but good lord, that'd be frustrating if I mess something up. So anyways, but that is so much better to deal with than the massive, we'll cut that out, than the massive, that's kind of a lot of the interior harness. Like we got the triple connector there. That's instrument panel, that's the OBD2 DLC. Those 3 are the kind of junction firewall ones that go to the engine. That's the ignition switch, and that's pretty much it. So I may end up not even using the instrument cluster, but for now I'm going to keep using it. So And then the only other thing I gotta tidy up on the engine side, I gotta clip the oxygen sensor leads off. So then once I got all that done, then I will find a fuse, or 2 fuses, 15 amp ones that I can drive the fuel pumps on with ignition on. So anyways, I might change it to have a toggleable switch for the fuel pumps because they're pretty high powered. Like they draw a lot of amperage. So if I wanted, oh excuse me, you get it. They'll be a high load circuit. Update. Does not appear as anything has been done, but there has been a lot. Batteries mounted, starter solenoids mounted. That mess of wires is going in that box. Control panels in. Got to wire up the gauges, and that's about it.